everyone. My name is Marc Martin, and today I'm working with Arts Education in Maryland schools to conduct an Arts Advocacy 101 presentation that focuses on tips for talking with principals about arts education in schools. I feel like I'm eminently qualified to give this tutorial because I'm one of those principals that you'll be trying to partner with down the road. And quite frankly, I'm not always the easiest to talk to. So hopefully these tips will help. The agenda for this presentation is for me to quickly share with you my background so you know who I am. We'll then begin with a section on how to get started. And this is really about doing your homework in advance around the school and the principal that you're hoping to partner with. We will then transition into a section on clear selling points. This is essentially your assignment, which is to make me pay attention to who you are and what you do. We'll then finish off this tutorial by figuring out how to close the deal. This moves beyond the basics of the presentation initially, and it's really extra credit that would get me as the principal to want to partner with you. If you play your cards right, you might even have a reversal here, where I'm selling you on why you should want to partner with me. So let me really quickly share my background with you as we move into some strategies for partnering with a principal. So you can see my credentials here. I've been in Baltimore City public schools for 24 years. For the last 15 years, I've been a principal. After some time working at Commodore John Rodgers, which was a turnaround school, I then became part of a district initiative to lead the 100% project. In all my years here at Baltimore City, what I've learned about school improvement and sustained school success is that it's never just about the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. Never before have I ever encountered a student or family who said, I want to be at that school because of their math program or anything else related to a core curriculum project. Really, students and families come to school because they want to be there and they like the energy and feeling they get when they walk through those doors. So much of that is tied to the arts and the way the arts programming breathes joy into a school community. So these are just some of the organizations that we've partnered with over the years. As a principal with limited resources, I can tell you I'm constantly struggling to find ways to infuse the arts into the daily lives of our students. If that's through increased staffing, a specialized program, or an after-school class, I'm looking for an opportunity to get my students engaged and excited about their time in school. And I'm really receptive to these partnerships because arts education truly is everything. Look at my students here. They're playing instruments at a public show and a public event. They're singing at a spring showcase in a choir. They're creating art products, art projects that they end up selling to the public at an art show. The arts truly means everything to our school. And it really, builds the character and culture of our school and really wants people or really makes people want to be at our school. And they'll continue to, excel in math and reading because the other pieces that are associated with the school, particularly in the arts. All right, so now we're moving into part 1. So if you're watching this presentation, you've probably experienced challenges with some principals. I get it, we're not the easiest people to work with, but the problem is simple. Our email boxes and voicemails are just inundated. We get to all of them, I promise you, but it might just take some time. And the biggest thing is what's going to get our attention. So how do you do that? So entry points matter. I think the first thing is to make sure you do everything you can to learn about the school and the principal that you're looking to work with. What does this entail? Very simple. It's something you do every single day. And that's a Google search. You can see this, I'm not trying to be funny. You just have to type in Commodore John Rodgers, and these are the first 5 stories that come up. You would learn that we had a health partner, Vision for Baltimore, working with Johns Hopkins. You would learn that we partner with a lacrosse program, and a student has moved through that program and is now excelling at UMBC. You'd learn about some of the safety requirements that are in place as we've returned back to school from the pandemic. These are important things to know because when you come and work with a school or a principal, you want to actually show that you've done your homework. After you learn a little bit about the school, that information might yield a connection with a staff member, a student, a program that's present at our school. You can now use that when you're talking to the principal. It just simply put opens doors. And so again, here's another example. You could go to our website, you go to any school's website, and you should find a staff listing that looks like this. You'll also find other information. This is where, as you're researching and trying to find information, you're going to look to see what organizations and partners are involved at the school. This will allow you to have a common or familiar talking point. Here's a great talking point in the city of Baltimore. Everyone knows about the Weinberg Foundation. Well, we have a Weinberg Library. We love our Weinberg Library. By knowing that the Weinberg Foundation is involved at our school, you as an organization might have done work with that foundation. And so, for example, Art with a Heart has been a partner at our school. They've conducted or created art installations at different Weinberg buildings. To be able to know people in common, to be able to know projects that are in common. Again, that's going to open the eyes of a principal. That's going to open my eyes and tell me, hey, I want to hear more about this organization. Finally, when thinking about entry points, I think it's nice to find alignment. More than anything, as a principal, I want to partner with an organization that shares a similar mindset or purpose. And so again, if you've done your homework about Commodore John Rodgers or Marc Martin or the 100% Project, you would have come across this article. This article talks about the work of the 100% Project. And for an arts, organization to be aware of this project and share that, they, just like me, are only interested in working in high need schools. And you're actually able to name some of the schools that you worked in or name some of the work that you've done. That's going to get my attention. That's going to make me think we share a similar vision and a similar mission. And if you're all about our vision and mission, then I definitely want to invite you into this work. And then, when we talk about attention and getting my attention, that's another key. How do you catch my eye? We often talk in schools that it's important to have consistent work that's steady. When you're talking about a partner, in many cases, I'm looking for something that's flashy. It could be a news story, a video, or a performance. One of our partners is the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, the BSO. And the OrKids program has worked at our school. And you can see they've been on 60 Minutes, their conductor, Marin Alsop. And they've also been at Ravens games. And they've been performing at halftime shows. When I look at that, when I see that, that's something that I definitely want to get involved in because it's just a high value add for our students in our community. Who doesn't want to be a part of a Ravens game? Who doesn't want to be part of a national story? So again, don't hold back, share those successes so they catch my eye, they catch a principal's eye, and we say, yeah, we want to be involved in this organization, with this organization. And then finally, from the negative perspective, there's nothing more frustrating for me as a principal when I'm taking a meeting when I don't have access to information. And I actually do my homework in advance as well. So I'd rather have that information up front. So just make sure that you have materials assembled in advance for the principal or the school to look at their leisure, or that you could then reference as you're talking about things in an initial meeting or when questions arise. For me, I'm never going to turn down that information. If it's at my fingertips, then it's something that I could just access on my own and learn more about. And then the other piece is it demonstrates that as an organization, you're extremely organized and you are extremely, detail oriented. And that's something that matters when you're talking about the operations within a school. So this homework and the steps suggested in getting started, this will help you get your foot in the door. As you set out to show the principal, show someone like me, that arts education is everything in a school. It can mean everything. And again, these are just some photos of our partnerships in art. You could see our choir, you could see our band, you could see some of the art pieces that elementary students are creating. It really is everything. And it's really your job to show the principal in the school that it can mean everything. I'm now going to move into part 2, which is where your assignment is to essentially sell yourself, sell your organization, sell why you should partner or the school should partner with you. So this is all about selling points. What matters a lot to a principal, but actually what matters to those that supervise principals are data points. why should I work with a given arts partner? Why does it matter to our school and our students to be engaged with this partner? Well, as a credible organization, it's incumbent upon you to back up your effectiveness with data. Some of this effectiveness is going to be around national survey data, but even better when the data is around the impact you have had in a given school. So this is just an example of some data. I'm sure you're familiar with this. This was just pulled on, again, a Google search. But some of that data might provide me with justification when creating a budget. Budgets are important to a school. Resources are limited. So help me by helping you, by giving me really strong arguments in favor of participating with you. This graphic shows, very simply that close to 90% of participants agree that arts are part of a well-rounded education. It might seem like a minor detail, but when we're justifying why we need to have a specific arts program in a school, this data point is going to matter to our families who might be angling for another sports program or another academic intervention program. This backs up the need for having some arts or more arts in a school. This is another graphic. This shows that there's an academic and life benefit to arts education. So, there's some things that I would want to highlight to a school in Baltimore City if it was my school. One of them is that low socioeconomic status students with high participation in the arts are 5 times less likely to drop out of school than a peer with low participation in the arts. You can see on another piece here, high engagement in the arts will also put students on a better track to graduating from college. And then there's so many other benefits. I'm sure you're familiar with the benefits of the arts. Otherwise, you wouldn't be pitching it to a school. So do that, pitch it to the school, because in that manner, as you share that with me, I could share that with my teachers to get buy-in from them that there has to be more time in the schedule for arts in school. And then I could also use this to get support from families for programmatic choices that involve budget revolving around the arts. So then after you move through some data around why we need to have more arts in schools, I think we really need to know who you are and what you're all about. Data is a big deal, but equally important is the principle of knowing as quickly as possible who you are and fast. So on the screen, you can see the things that I want to know. I want to know a little bit about your founder. Who is he? Who is she? What did they do? What is the vision and mission around the organization? That's important for me, again, because I want it to align with my organization. If these things aren't aligned, then it makes no sense for us to partner anyway. So I'm going to assume that if you're trying to get me engaged with your organization, that we are aligned. So it's your job to show me where that alignment is. As part of the backstory, it's also important to know the specific goals of the organization, what structures it has in place for things like family outreach, student recruitment, staff development, staff absence, and then what metrics it uses to determine whether the work is successful or not. Finally, I want to know more about the team. Who works there? Where do they come from? What's a common defining characteristic of the staff? And then how is that team supported by the organization when it comes to performance and challenge? At the end of the day, as a principal, I really want to like who I work with, and I really want to believe in what they do. So you have to sell that to people like me if you want us to engage with your organization. And then, in terms of the assignment, it's also important to know what you've been doing and with who. So just like sharing who you are, it's also important for me to know who you have served. I really like anecdotes here. Share with me specifics around what has gone well. But also, and probably even more important, share with me some anecdotes around what hasn't went well. Principals live with, just failure every day. And the fact that not every day, not every class, not every initiative is going to be successful. Some aren't going to be successful. We're not perfect. I love to hear that honest reflection and then the response to that imperfection, because it shows me how you adjust as an organization when things don't go as planned. So the plan is important, but it's also important to know what happens when that plan doesn't work. And then finally, it's really important to know and to be clear what the actual pitch is. What's the proposal for this specific partnership? Need to know what you're going to do for the school. What does it look like? how's our school going to benefit? What is the cost if there's a cost, and what's included with that cost? And then finally, what's required by the school? Now, this last bullet is really near and dear to my heart. I don't like surprises. I have enough on my plate. That's why I'm not answering your email. I'm not picking up the phone. I want to know everything that our school has to do on our end as part of this partnership, whether that's giving access to student data, whether that's recruiting students, whether that's holding an evening information session at our school, whatever it is. It's really important for me to know that up front so that I could make an informed decision. And then, again, if this pitch is effective, that's going to make me want to sign on the dotted line immediately because I have all of this information. So just to conclude this, section on your assignment with your selling points, that assignment is to get me to see that arts education is everything, particularly the arts education brand that you're offering specifically to me and my school. And again, just with some pictures here, again, we had a drama group working on the left. We had some sculpture making in the middle. And then again, we have our choir right here on the right. The arts, it just means everything to a school. And then for this last part of the tutorial, I'm going to talk a little bit about closing the deal by doing some extra credit beyond just the initial meeting. So testimonials. Testimonials are incredibly powerful. Provide me with testimonials of real people who exude a positivity about the work that makes me, want to see that in my community so that they feel that same way. That's what I want to see. It can be video, it can be print, it can be a live meeting. These testimonials mean a lot more than what anyone on your staff can do for us. Because again, rather than organizations saying it directly, I'm able to see it live in action. And my thinking that I want to walk away from is that I want our community saying those same things about what's happening at our school. So, another thing that, I would call extra credit, which is definitely going above and beyond, is just then taking that next step and proactively offering to host the principal or a school team at a site where you have that same program in place or an example of that. It's really important to see your program in action. And the other thing that you can do is give a more tailored presentation based on some follow-up questions that I asked or based on the specific audience that I want to hear, or I want to hear your presentation. So you might want to give a more tailored presentation to the arts department or to our parent-teacher association if there's a budget meeting coming up. This way, you're getting more people excited, and by getting them excited and offering, that excitement to them, you're showing me that you are going to become part of the community, but you're also going to then have them put pressure on me to take you on as a partner that's working at our school. So I really think that's really important. And then finally, just with this mantra, when you're offering to host the school or to do another presentation, I think it becomes very clear to me that there's nothing to hide on your end. And also that you would bend over backwards as part of this partnership. That's someone obviously that I want to work with, someone that's going to be transparent and someone that's going to go above and beyond. That's what we need in our schools. We need that attitude because there's just so many needs. And if you show that, then I'm going to say that's the type of organization that I want as part of the team. And then finally, if you want to close the deal, this is what I respond to. Quick follow-up with a detailed offer that spells out the agreement just in a concise manner and that it's easy. So, using DocuSign or another electronic signing method platform, that's really helpful. It's not always easy. You might think it's easy for a principal during the school day to go to their email, to print a MOU, to then sign the MOU, and to feed that back into the copier and scan it, and then to send an email back. We're busy at schools, and that's not the type of work that we want to do. We want to be able to do things efficiently. I also would say that it's important that you've done your homework, obviously, and you know that this is a partnership we can enter into. So if there's, a cost or a charge, it's really important that you have done your research and know that the purchasing platform, in Baltimore City's case, it's K-12 buy, that you're an approved vendor, and that you can receive the amount that the contract calls for. It's really important that we know that, because if we go through all this work and then we run into that roadblock, I'm going to have a really hard time moving forward if there's a delay, because I've already invested that time in. And then, if there are changes that need to be made, just let's make that easy in terms of the back and forth. If there needs to be changes with language or with numbers, it can be frustrating for me to have to go back and forth when that should just be done nice and easy in a DocuSign or in an electronic document. And rather than going back and forth, doing it really well one more time and then sending it back. I think that helps me move forward. And then finally, and this might be something that is hard to believe, tight timelines are actually better for principals and for me, because the more time that we're sitting on something and the more time we're waiting on something, it either leaves our mind, or another priority comes up, or the opportunity will have passed. And so from my end, I'm always moving quicker when the organization says you have a week, you have until March 1st, because that way it's on my calendar. I know when I have to answer by, so I'll learn and do more research and do any other negotiation that needs to occur, and then we'll move forward. You give me until next school year, and I'm not going to worry about it until the day before the next school year. So really, think about the value of a tight timeline. So that really concludes just some tips for talking with principals about arts education in school. This is my information. You could reach out to me if you have any questions about anything that was shared in this presentation. There's my email, there's my cell phone. And really, you could reach out to me with any questions. I hope this was helpful. And again, it's worth beating down the door of an unresponsive or uninterested principal. I don't know who that would be. It's not me, but it's worth it, because arts education means everything. Good luck. And if you have a hard time talking to principals after this, and you've used these tips, you can always reach out to me, reach out to Commodore. We would love to partner with you at any time. Take care.